All righty. That was annoying. That's what that was. That was annoying. Knicks lose 116 to 100 to the Atlanta Hawks. The very annoying Atlanta Hawks. The Hawks sucks. They suck. They're just not my cup of tea. Even without Trae Young, they suck. No Jalen Brunson tonight. Obviously, we found that out before the game, but I think even so, this is a game you went into it feeling like the Knicks, I don't know about should win. I don't know if with the roster that they have right now, if Jalen Brunson is not a part of it, I don't know that there's necessarily any game that they should win, but it was certainly a game that you felt like they could win. And coming out of the gate, and I got to tell you, I don't remember another quarter that I have seen in an NBA basketball game quite like the first quarter of this game when the Knicks just got it. And again, we've talked a lot about like, okay, what's the best lineups to play if they don't have, Randall and OG Anunoby, and now especially that goes even more so without Brunson. Like, what gives them the best chance to win? What gives them the best chance to score and defend and kind of toe that line? And it's really hard because they're just, they're missing their best two-way guy in OG Anunoby, and their centers are not, their center position is just not what it is used to, and we'll get back to that in a bit. So, but that first quarter, I think, set the tone for the game, certainly, in which the Knicks came out and they missed, it seemed like every good attempt that they had. They shot 25% from the quarter, not 25% from three, 25% from the quarter, missed 21 shots in the first quarter. Unbelievable. Went 3 of 16 from deep, and they dug themselves. We thought it was a 15-point hole, and it ended up being an 18-point hole. And I think Andrew Claudio is still mad about that because a bogey 3 was wiped away. So actually, I misspoke a minute ago. They went 6 of 28, or maybe that wasn't counted as a shot attempt. So let's go. They were 6 of 27 and 2 of 15 from 3 in reality in that first quarter, and down by 18. And yes, they went down eventually by 22 briefly in the second quarter. And yet, what do? They do what they always do. They fight. They don't quit. They don't give up. By hook or by crook, they find a way to make these games that should not be games a game. And I don't think I'm overstating it by saying like this should not have been a game, because like you look up, Jalen Johnson was best player on the floor by far. And I don't want to put it like the Knicks had no answer for him tonight, because the way he was playing, I don't know that a lot of teams would have a great answer for him tonight. He was 12 of 17 for 26 points. Murray didn't even need to do all that much. He's still top 21, 21, 9, and 6. And I thought the other area that the Hawks really, really hurt the Knicks, and you saw it, was on the boards with their size. And, it wasn't any one guy, but it was like across the board. Bay, 9 rebounds. Johnson, 9 rebounds. I'm looking at this right now. 4 starters for Atlanta had 9 rebounds. That's freaking wild. Not to mention Bruno Fernando off the bench with 7. So, like, yeah, I do feel comfortable saying the Knicks, this was probably not a game the Knicks should have been in, given how they came out of the gate and just were not able to hit anything, which is like, you shrug your shoulders. It's like the looks were not bad. They were just not going down. Donte DiVincenzo has been as good a three-point shooter in basketball for the better part of 3 months. He was 5 of 17 tonight. And you know what? 2 of those were late when the game was essentially over. For all intents and purposes, during the relevant portion of the game, he was 3 of 15. Like, it happens. I'm not blaming him, but like you're gonna get these nights sometimes. Deuce McBride's been, I think he's still over 40% for the year. If he's not, he's damn close. How many huge threes has he hit, or huge 3-point shooting games has he had over the course of the last few months? He was 3 of 10 tonight. Alec Burks, who I actually thought did a couple of nice things, he was 1 of 7. In terms of their shooters that they have, Bogey was like the best of the group, and he was only 4 of 11. Like, when you put all of those things together, this is a game that the final score probably should look like it does. But anybody who watched the game knows that the final score is not indicative of how this game went because, again, down by 22, fight back. I think there were three guys, and we'll see. I don't know if they're going to wind up being my 3 stars of the game. Probably will be. We'll see. You got a huge push from Precious in the second quarter. You got a big push from Josh Hart in the third quarter. And then I thought Deuce McBride really was kind of the capper there. And Deuce tried as much as he possibly could to keep it in it there in the early portion of the fourth quarter after they had already tied it up. They tied it up late in the third, but this was still a very, very competitive game right down really until I think there were like 4 minutes left. And then I don't know if running out of gas is the terminology that I want to use. Running out of gas, I mean, it's not inappropriate. I mean, you see the minute totals. Deuce McBride, 46 minutes, one game after he played 47 minutes. Josh Hart, I think Fred Katz tweeted out before, this is 7 straight games with Josh Hart over 40 minutes. They can't afford to sit him. And I think the tough part is that, yes, he was instrumental in that third quarter. He looked, for the first time, maybe, I don't know, in months, he looked like not himself in the first half. And like, that's probably putting it lightly. He was just like, there were loose balls that were near him that he wasn't getting, which is just something we never see. So is he getting tired? Donte DiVincenzo, 39 minutes. And again, he's their first offensive option. And without him on the floor, you saw how it was for this team to try to generate points without DiVincenzo on the court early in the fourth quarter. They couldn't do it. And that's ultimately, I think, why the game got away from them in part. 39 minutes. Again, he was 7 for 24 from the field in this game. I said already, 5 of 17 from 3. This is the reality of their situation right now. Is when you add in no Brunson. When you add in no Brunson, I mean no Brunson. That's the lead storyline, and then you add in still no Julius, still no OG, and then the last thing I'm gonna say is and still no Mitch. And I think it's been a bit of a roller coaster because we've seen over the last few months, month and a half, whatever it's been since the Achilles first started acting up. We've seen some good Hartenstein and we've seen some not good Hartenstein. This was definitely closer to the, I don't want to say like bad Hartenstein, but there are games where it's just the lift is not there. You saw it in the offensive possessions early in the game for Isaiah. I think he started out 1 of 4, finished the game 2 of 6. Defensively, not the same player. I mean, there's a reason he played 20 minutes in this game. Jericho Sims played 26 because Jericho Sims was the better of the 2 center options. And I like Sims did what he could. He's doing everything you expect out of your 11th, 12th man, whatever you consider him to be right now. But he is not Isaiah Hartenstein. He is not Mitchell Robinson when both of those guys are healthy. And this team relies so much on its centers, certainly at the defensive end. But I think offensively, for offensive rebounds, if you want to go there, and I'm looking at the offensive boards, the Knicks had 17 offensive rebounds tonight, but Hartenstein only got 3 of those. Sims got you 6. And that's why I say Sims was the better of the 2 center options tonight. But they need their full center contingent, and obviously to say nothing of the fact that they need all of their other guys. It's a lack of healthy bodies. It's a lack of talent at the moment. It's not a lack of fight, though. It's not a lack of fight. Because to be down 22 after you had that emotional win, you banked a win you were not supposed to bank in Cleveland. And then you went down by 22 because you couldn't hit the far side of a barn, couldn't throw the ball in the ocean from the beach. To fight back and tie that game, man, that to me, that says much more about this team. And I've said this similar versions about this or like this before after other games. That says far more about this team to me than the fact that they ultimately lost the game and let it get away from them in the final minutes. In terms of kind of bones to pick with the rotation or anything tonight, the big one's going to be Precious Achiuwa plus 3 in a game they lost by 16. He was outstanding in 24 minutes, 7 of 8 from the field, really kind of put the team on his back there in the second quarter. You could say he's the reason this wasn't a blowout because he was started having his way on the offensive end. I thought he imposed his defense or his presence a little bit on the defensive end. But ultimately, Tibbs felt like, look, I need the spacing out there, especially without Jalen Brunson. I need some semblance of offense, and between Deuce and Precious and a traditional center, not to mention Josh Hart, it's like, okay, how many non-shooters or shooters that defenses do not fear and are going to go under screens and like just challenge these guys to make shots? How many you could only have so many of these guys on the floor at once, which is why after the Golden State game, people were yelling and screaming, how in God's name can you have these lineups out there where you're you just have no shooting? Well, tonight it's going to be the opposite. How in God's name could you not put Precious Achiuwa out there when he's going crazy? And it's like, I'll say the same thing I said after the Golden State game. These are maybe not impossible choices, but these are really freaking difficult choices. And you want to tell me, okay, well, put Precious at the 5. I thought the Hawks were killing you as it was on the boards, and to go with Precious at the 5, I think would have been a little bit too dangerous for me at least. But reasonable minds could differ. I'm going to end on a bright spot. The Brooklyn Nets, the shitty Brooklyn Nets with their 87 fans, came up with a big win tonight. And the team that they were playing was the team that we are going to be playing twice in a row starting this weekend, and that is the Philadelphia 76ers, who were without Tyrese Maxey tonight, obviously without Joel Embiid, and you would have figured if there's ever going to be a game the Nets could win, this is the game that they could win. Well, they won it. And because they won it, the Knicks are still – they're going to show up, and they're technically 5th because they've lost the season series to Orlando, but they are still tied record-wise for 4th place with Philadelphia a half a game back, tied with Miami, who was also half a game back, and then and this, I'm about to put this game actually on my league pass. Indiana will finish tonight either a game back of the 6th, 7th grouping, so 1.5 games back of the Knicks and Magic, or 2.5 games back of the Knicks and Magic. So we'll see what Indiana does with this game tonight. I would not mind them losing to the Mavericks. But look, this is what it is. This is what it is. And last thing I'll say before we get to the super chats is Andrew, as we were signing off the playback, asked DJ for his closing thoughts, and DJ Zulo, and he just looked ahead to the next 3 games, and he said these 3 games are critical. There's no other word for it. These 3 games are critical. This is not to say that they need to go 3-0, but man, I mean, if you unless you want to have a extraordinarily unpleasant final month of the season in which almost every game is going to have the weight of the world on your shoulders if you're the Knicks, you got to find a way. Again, it's unfair. It's unfair of anyone to ask them to do this, but you got to find a way. Do you need to go 2-1? Do you need to? Do you need to beat Orlando, who you're tied with right now, to avoid going 0-4 against the Magic? I think a lot of that's going to come down to whether Jalen Brunson plays. Again, not to say that they can't win without Jalen Brunson. They just beat the Cavs without Jalen Brunson. I would argue, the Magic healthy are a little bit better than the Cavs minus Donovan Mitchell, but, reasonable minds could disagree. They were in a competitive game with the Hornets down the stretch, but like this Magic team, they grind out games. So even if Brunson plays, that's not going to be a gimme. And then you have 2 straight against the Sixers. And boy, oh boy, talk about some big games. as I'm looking up right now that the freaking Pacers are up by 15 on the Mavs in Dallas, no less. What the hell is going on here? Okay. I think that's it. We'll talk about individual performances, I guess, as we go through the super chats, but I think I hit on everything that I wanted to hit. Actually, no. Bogey and Burks combined to shoot 11 of 32. It's not what you brought them here for. It's a broken record at this point. They were brought here to help bridge the gap. And I will say right now, if one of those guys gives you a big game, I think you win this game tonight. If both of those guys have average games, I think you win tonight. And that gets into the dicey choices for this team right now because, like, how do you define a bogey game? Because you have to consider the defense too. So, like, how good does he need to be on offense to counterbalance what you are not getting from him on the defensive end? And the answer ultimately is a lot better than 6 for 18 for 19 points. And so those guys, they need to be better. Not saying the trade was a failure. I'm not even saying I would go back and I wouldn't make the trade again. I would. I still believe in the trade. It has not worked out in their favor so far. These guys need to be better, and that's all there is to it. I don't want this to turn. I don't want any game to turn into a blame this guy or blame that guy fest because when you are missing arguably your 4 best players. And arguably, you probably throw in DiVincenzo, and you probably throw in Hartenstein, you probably throw in Hart. Hartenstein's not Hartenstein right now. DiVincenzo, again, during the relevant portion of this game, went 3 of 15. And Hart, for the first time in, again, half a season, looked gassed. So, like, in terms of, like, your quote-unquote healthy top 8, none of those guys showed up tonight, either because they literally were not in uniform, or because they just did not perform as you needed them to perform. That's where this team is at. And if that is where this team is at, the last thing I'm going to do is point at the 9th guy and point at the 10th guy and be like, you're the reason why we're in this predicament. That is not the case. But at the same time, it is also okay, I think, to say we need you guys to be better. And they need them to be better. That's all there is to it. Okay. On that note, let's go to whatever people want to talk about. This is from Alex, the original Alex, who sent this in from before the game. Shake, 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 shake your Milton. Cheers, Jessica. Yes, this was from 5:50 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Well done. Good job by you, Alex. Robert W. Cross. Oh boy. Be quiet, Alex. Deuce McBride. I don't know when that is from. Deuce was awesome tonight. I say that, and I'm looking at his stat line. He was 4 of 15. I don't care. He was awesome tonight. Like, yeah, much like I just said about Bogey and Burks, am I going to sit here and kill Deuce, who is their 10th man when healthy, 9th man when healthy? I don't know what he is, 9th or 10th, right? For having an off shooting night? No, because he does so much else for you. And he did so much else tonight. So, yeah, good. As good a 4 for 15 game as you'll ever see. How about that? Thanks, Robert. J-Mac saved my life. Oh, my God. I don't want to know where this is going. My ass was itching, but I talked to my doctor. It turns out I had pinworms. Thank you, J-Mac, for opening my eyes and ass to the possibilities. This is from Knicks Fan Patrol. I don't know whether I want this to actually be true or I want this to be something that he made up for a laugh. I really can't tell which would be funny.
I think both scenarios are hilarious, first of all. And second of all, would you like to use this opportunity, John, to shout out the Pinworm Princess for a special day that may have happened yesterday?
Yeah, shout out to my youngest, Isabel, Ava Macri, 3 years old yesterday.
Happy birthday, Izzy.
Happy birthday, Izzy. She is a sweet kid that is a royal pain in the ass most of the time, and not just because of the pinworms, but
say might have a royal pain in the ass.
she might have a royal pain in the ass. Don't get me started. But she's great, and we love her, and we're happy to have her as part of our family.
As someone who was doing his first ever post game show solo 3 years ago on that day when
Right.
you and Dolores were at the hospital, and the Knicks were playing the Pistons, and in the chat after the game, I noticed one Dolores Cusmano Macri on the post game in the chat, and like moments after delivering a baby, decided to comment on the Knicks.
Yeah.
My how time flies. So happy birthday, Izzy. From all
Get
of
better.
us here at Knicks Film School.
Yes.
Get well soon.
Get well soon. No more worms. Busy. I blame Tibbs and the Knicks City Dancers. I don't even know why, but okay. I don't know what the Knicks City Dancers did. The Knicks City Dancers are great. They're great. How can you hate them? They're the best dancing group in the NBA. Danny Gardner, what's going on, Danny? I know Burks is streaky and isn't hitting right now, but he just seems so disconnected from the rest of the team and how he's playing. It visibly stands out. I lost my shit. Not literally, thankfully. Figuratively, lost my shit. At the end of the first quarter, when he's bringing it up, and it was the Knicks couldn't run the clock out, but it was close enough with the 24-second shot clock and the game clock where they could have taken it down and really not given the Hawks a opportunity to get a quality shot off. And Alec Burks dribbles into I won't say it was a contested long two. It was not a contested long two. It was whatever. It was open-ish. But still, a long two with, I think he released it with like over 10 on the clock. Maybe it was just under 10. But it was the most egregious thing. Benji had lost his shit, not literally, on the post game when he referenced the play from I think it was the Warriors game. This was my moment with Alex, and you're not going to find two Knicks fans who love Alec Burks more than us. And I looked at that and I'm like, man, what the hell are you doing? And sure enough, Atlanta comes down, and DiVincenzo fouls someone, and whoever it was went to the line, made 2 free throws, and it's like he's hurting the team right now. And I know he's made some buckets. He made some buckets in Cleveland fourth quarter. He made some buckets tonight in the second half that were important in the early fourth quarter. He's hurting the team right now. He's not helping them. And I don't know. He played a few more minutes tonight than he has been playing. Actually, no, that's wrong. He has played 11 minutes the last 2 games. He played 12 minutes tonight. It should tell you all you need to know that Tom Thibodeau, a man who played Alec Burks over Emmanuel Quickley down the stretch of a season not all that long ago, is scrapping for quality minutes. And for 3 straight games, Alec Burks, 11 minutes, 12 minutes. That should tell you all you need to know. Thanks, Danny. This is from the other Alex. I gave Tibbs credit for the Cavs game, but he deserves blame tonight. He has to stop playing Burks, but he especially played Bogey way too much and seemingly forgot Precious existed in the fourth quarter. So he didn't forget anything. It's what I said at the top of the show. It's a spacing thing. It's completely and totally a spacing thing. Again, if you want to put Precious at the 5, you're opening yourself up to, in addition to a lack of rim protection, you're opening up yourself to some issues on the boards. And then if you're going to put Precious next to a traditional center, and then you have Deuce out there who is not somewhat like, how are you initiating offense? Let's start with that. Like, Deuce is trying to get a lot of these possessions going up. I would say that they at least tried to get into a lot of their sets using Deuce tonight as the first domino, right? Defenses go under every screen on him. So if you combine that And you needed Deuce out there, by the way. I'm not saying take Deuce off the floor. You needed him out there. Because otherwise, you know who it is? If it's not Deuce, it's the guy you're saying you want to kill Tibbs for playing more or playing too much. It's Alec Burks. So you need Deuce out there who no one's honoring when he has the ball. You're combining that with a center, non-spacer, Precious, non-spacer, and then Josh Hart, who's really your top two-way guy right now. That sounds insane to say. I mean, it's either him or DiVincenzo, but in terms of like Hart as a defender, he's bigger and gives you a little bit more than DiVincenzo. And he's not a spacer, and yet tonight he was their best three-point shooter. And so you're going to have one floor spacer out there. It's tough. And I know you could look at Bogey, and I just kind of was hard on Bogey. I think I'm okay. You're going to say, well, of course you're okay with it. You always side with Tibbs. Look, again, these are imperfect choices. These are hard choices. For me to sit here and be like, Tibbs fucked up because he thought that maybe Burks had a little something in the tank in the fourth quarter and could be enough of a positive on offense to make it worth his presence out there, to say nothing of the fact that like you need him for spacing. I can't look at that and be like, what an egregious decision. It's not an egregious decision. It's a decision that maybe turned out to be wrong. Can't argue with that. They lost the game. Who knows what Precious would have done? The way he was going, maybe somehow, some way they overcome that, even though they would have no spacing out there. These are hard questions. These are hard decisions. So I can't to sit here and be like to blame the coach for a loss where, again, you are missing 4 massively important players. And your next 3, DiVincenzo, Hart, Hartenstein, were either bad tonight or like didn't fully have it. I can't sit here and blame the coach. That's your top 7 guys. Another one from other Alex coming up. This team might substantially have the very best and worst players on loose balls in the league in Hart, who's an absolute dog, and Bogey, who, well, yeah, I mean, Bogey, it's kind of...
Real quick, simultaneously,
yes. What did I say?
Substantially, which might also work.
It's been a long day. It's been a long season. Yeah, I mean, Bogey, I think he's just not very fleet of foot at this point. As far as Hart, he is an absolute dog, and yet tonight, first half, didn't have it getting to loose balls. They didn't get to any loose balls in the first half, which is part of the reason they went down by 22. They weren't getting any of those 50-50 balls, but yeah, that's fair to say. I'm going to read a quick comment from Tibbs. Not shocked at all that he said this on the podium after the game. You're in position to win. The rebounding was a problem. That was a bigger concern for me. Missed shots are part of the game, but your rebounding is important. It's one of the few times we got out-rebounded, and one of the very few times they got out-rebounded by double digits this year. I'm pretty sure you count those times on, if not one hand, maybe one hand with a couple fingers, and they got out-rebounded by 11 tonight. I thought that was a massive, massive factor in the game. Thanks, other Alex. Freeway Hustler 21. Thank you for the very, very generous contribution. Doesn't look like there's a comment associated with this. If you have a comment, maybe put it in the regular chat. We'll try to look for it. But thank you for the contribution. Jesse M. AB is slowly surpassing Elf as my most hated Knick. Elf's not even in my top 5 most hated Knicks. That's me. I don't think he's in my top 10. I'll say this: there's been 1 or 2 other guys that have been here in the last 4 years that are a Knick that I dislike more than Elfrid Payton. Look, Alec Burks should not be judged by the last whatever it's been, dozen games. He gave this team a lot over his time here. I will personally always remember him for being, if not the best player on the court for the Knicks, then at worst, the second best player in game 1 against the Hawks, which is a game that I still think they could have won, maybe should have won. They win that game, maybe it's a different series. Maybe. Probably not. Maybe. He was awesome in that game. He has had a lot of big games, a lot of big performances in big games for the Knicks over the years. He's been terrible. So Here we go. Freeway Hustle 21. Bolo Sandwich was fouling and bricking. Why close with him when we were not shooting well? I so extra possessions would have helped. So if so, extra possessions would have helped. I think maybe what you're going for there is that if you put in Precious, maybe it gets you some more offensive rebounds. I mean, it's fair. You do still have Harden there for the offensive on the offensive glass, to say nothing of a traditional center. Look, again, they lost. Everything is under question, but I just the larger sentiment of you're missing these guys and the quote unquote best guys that you have tonight didn't play well. It's just a tough spot for me to blame the coach. And I would argue that, like, yes, even someone who does not really side with this coach like 99% of the time, I would argue that it would be a tough spot even for them to blame this on a rotation decision. But look, you lose the game, everything's in question. Might have turned out differently. Thank you, Freeway Hustler. Juanon, what's going on, Juanon? Glad I didn't get rid of the tiki torch and the pitchfork. Rabble. Fire Tibbs, bench Burks. Hard to win a game when you shoot that bad in the first half. Looks were there. We'll be okay. Bondi tweeted it after the game. I don't think I've actually said the number. The Knicks missed 36 threes tonight. I think Andrew, I know Andrew can look this up. If you have time to look it up, and they took 52 threes, by the way, which is the third most threes the Knicks have ever attempted in a basketball game. Again, that should tell you everything you need to know. They had no ability to penetrate tonight. They had no ability to do anything inside. 52 threes out of 99 shots.
Where did you see that this is the third most?
3-point attempts?
Yeah, this is the second most.
Oh, I thought they had 2 games of 54.
They had
54.
1 game of 54, 2 games of 51, and then a bunch of 50.
Sorry, I misremembered what you had said earlier in the game. So their second most 3-point attempts in a basketball game. I think this is probably the most 3-pointers they've ever missed in a game.
Hold on.
Yeah. So let's keep going with the super chats. But I think so. Yeah, it's tough to win those games. Anthony Sixto, what's going on, Anthony? At least the Sixers lost, but Fred Katz's prophecy is complete. Dean Wade led the Cavs to a big win. Same as it always was, just waiting to get healthy. I saw some tweets about Dean Wade. I don't know what he specifically did. I know he came up big.
Dean Wade, in a fourth quarter comeback for the Cavs, had 20 points by himself, including a putback slam that gave the Cavs their 1-point lead that closed the game. He had 20 points. The Celtics themselves had 17. So vindication for one Dean Wade Katz.
Indeed. And look, as far I'll speak to it just because it got brought up. Knicks are 4.5 games back in Cleveland right now. I know Donovan Mitchell's going to miss at least 2 more games. 4.5 games. And I'm just looking. Who has a game in hand? They have 1 more game to play. So that doesn't bode well for us. Because when a team is 40-21, when they have an extra game, you kind of are going to assume that they're going to win the extra game. So let's just call it 5 games with 20 to go. Yes, I know we have the tiebreaker, but let's just say the Cavs. What's the worst the Cavs are going to go from here on in? 11-10, you want to call it? Let's call it 11-10. Fine. Let's call it 11-10. Are the Knicks going to go 15? Actually, I don't know. My math is my brain is shot. Are the Knicks going to go 15-5 from here on in? I don't know about that. Like, we're not no OG yet, no Julius yet, no Mitch yet. Hardenstein's hobbled. I'm kind, and with Milwaukee, just an absolutely massive win over the Clippers last night. They're a full 5 games up on us. I'm not saying I'm like punting the possibility of a 2 or of the 2 or the 3 seed, but it's the focus just at this point has to go to staying out of the play-in. Honestly, it's staying out of the play-in, and I say that specifically because, like, you want to say, oh well, we gotta hang on to the 4 seed, right? Or we can't fall down to 6. Right now, especially with the Mitchell health thing, I think you're probably banking on the Cavs finishing in 3rd place. And so, like, let's just say, for argument's sake, that the Knicks finish in 6th. I'm not saying they should purposely finish in 6th. I don't think they're going to have that option because I think the race to stay out of the play-in might go down to the wire, in which case you don't have any room to fuck around. We'll see what happens. But, like, amongst the possible different playoff matchups, like, obviously I think a lot of people would sign for Orlando before Cleveland. That should go without saying. Is that going to be a possibility if you get in the 4-5 that Orlando is going to be the team that's sitting there either in 4 or in 5th? I don't know. Who would you rather face, Miami or Cleveland? There's an interesting question. Like, the fact that we are asking all of these is just, and by the way, team that lost to the Nets tonight, Philly, if they get Embiid back, I think I might want to play them less than all of these teams. And I know Indiana, although Indiana's up by 13, they've been struggling lately. I still kind of fear them. So, like, none of these are great options. And what you want to do, you want to stay out of the play-in. That is what you want. You want to stay out of the play-in because you do not want to have that enter the lexicon where it's not a win and go home, or win. It's not a win or go home, but it's a win or face a first-round series with Boston. You do not want that, and that's what their concern has to be right now. So, not worrying about Cleveland right now. Just say that. Joe Dugan, what's going on, Joe? I like Tibbs, but will never understand his Burks thing. Going on 5 years now. Precious never playing center anymore is also odd. We are bad, but we have our pick. Oh my God, Joe. Jesus Christ. I don't know how much I could. There's a lot wrong with that. Burks, Tibbs has only been the coach for, this is his 4th season. Hasn't completed 4 seasons yet. Burks was very, very good for the large majority of his time. I know he was the point guard thing ranked a lot of people. Precious at the 5 is, I apologize, is not tenable against most teams. It's really not tenable when you're playing a team that has this Hawks front line, specifically Clint Capella, who's still one of the best rebounders in the sport. And in terms of we are bad, but we have our pick, that might be. Joe, this team could still fuck around and make a finals. And I'm not one prone to hyperbole. I am not one to wave the orange and blue pom-poms. I do not look at this team through orange and blue colored glasses. But they are missing everybody. Everybody. And you know what? Even in the doomsday scenario that I just laid out, where they do fall into the play-in, is it possible they could win a play-in game and then win in the first round and then win in the second round? And, like, yeah, anything's possible because they are that good if they can get all their guys back. They don't have anybody, which is why, again, I it's tough for me to sit here and blame the coach. Thank you, Joe.
By the way, before we get to Bernard Richardson's comment, and Joe, we're all feeling it with you, man. I watch a movie tonight. Just watch literally anything else but basketball, because this is clearly getting up there in your anxiety filters. Most missed threes in a game by the Knicks. Yes. So they had missed 36 tonight. The record, remember 2 years ago? No, it was last year when they played the Kings in Sacramento.
Yeah.
They missed 37 that night.
So this is second most.
Second most by 1.
Okay.
And then last year on New Year's Eve against Houston, they also missed 36. They were 16 of 52 last year.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they're tied for the second most missed threes in a game.
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
There's like I will say this, in a lot of the games that we're looking at, there's a lot of made a bunch, took a bunch. There's an 8 for 41 in there. There's a 3 for 36 that we all remember.
The Toronto game. Never forget
and
that.
then the 5 for 37 in there as well. So there's other ways that they've missed threes other than just taking a ton, you know. But there's your answer. Tied for the second most.
Good stuff. Okay. Bernard Richardson. Can't say that they should have won this realistically, but man, I fucking hate the Hawks. Thanks to all who prayed to their God for JB. Yeah. Think we're going to be keeping an eye on the old injury report for Friday. Just maybe. You know, if he could walk, he's going to play. So we'll see. Thanks, Bernard. Brando, Cleveland beat Boston and we beat Cleveland. Ergo, we are the best. I love that. That's the energy I need tonight. Not we have our draft pick. My God. Oh, Jesus Christ. Thank you, Brando. Jesse with another one. Burke shooting stat lines look like concert dates. He's bad. He's been bad. He has been bad. There's no question about it. They're playing him 11 minutes a game with nobody, and he's playing him 11 minutes a game. When they get, here's the Alec Burks test for everybody, right? Here's the Alec Burks test. When they get one more guy back, not talking about Brunson, one more guy in addition to Brunson, doesn't matter who it is. Well, actually, it does matter. If it's either Randall or OG, will Burks still play? And I think if he continues on this trajectory, the answer will be no. So we'll see. Thanks, Jesse. Ben, what's going on, Ben? Kim Gervey, my man. Not worried to read the standings. If healthy, we're good. Here's the only, I'm not pushing back on this. The devil's advocate point of view would be, yes, if healthy, we're good. Yes. I am assuming that we will get the guys back before the playoffs, with the caveat that there is an uncertainty regarding, even after Julius comes back, he may not be able to stay back. We don't know. We have to see how the shoulder responds. If you fall to the play-in, anything could happen in one game. Anything could happen in one game. And that is why I think, because we are getting short on time, 20 games left. Just 20 games left. Because we're getting short on time, if we're healthy, we'll be fine. I think that statement needs to include an asterisk of as long as they are in the top 6. And again, why did I start the show by saying what DJ said in the playback? These next 3 games are critical. I understand. Yes, let's say they lose all 3. They still got 17 to go. 17 games, a lot of games, right? You could put together, you go 14-3, right? 13-4, whatever. Yeah, you could, but look at some of those games. Look at some of those games. It is not what I would define as an easy final 17. It's not an easy final 20 games. It's a middle of the road, if anything, final 20 where you're looking at it and you're like, man, this could be very easily. This could be 13-7, 12-8, 14-6. Like, and that's, again, you're playing good teams, even if you're healthy. So am I worried about the standings? I'm not going to sit here and say I'm worried, but boy, am I looking at them really closely every day from here on in. And am I going to sit here and be, as I look up the fucking score, 124-106, Indiana over Dallas. Thanks a lot for nothing, Dallas. Nothing. But yeah, this is where we're at, where I'm looking at this freaking Pacers score, and I'd be like, you son of a bitch. Because all these games matter. And this is one of those games where it's like Indiana going into Dallas, you would have figured, okay, there's a game the Pacers drop. Now, are the Pacers going to be the team that passes us for like I don't know, but I'm rooting for all these teams to lose. Have to right now. Have to. Thanks, Ben. Other Alex. Unless Tibbs figures out a way to beat Orlando for the first time in 4 years, that Sixers series feels like a must sweep now. Next 3 games are massive. It's been a rough matchup. I will say that, like, first of all, there's been an inordinate amount of games over the last 2 years where they haven't had Brunson. It's been at least a few. I will never forget one of the Orlando games last year in Orlando where they played the most disjointed first half of basketball I think I've ever seen, and it wasn't because of anything the Magic were doing. It was just, it was a bizarre game. The Magic's length and aptitude, obviously, on defense definitely bothers this team. Definitely bothers the Knicks. And it's going to be a tough go. I mean, let's just say it. This is the biggest game of the season so far. Coming up right now. And we got one more from other Alex. On a more positive note, I thought Precious looked especially strong and comfortable in transition all game, something they'll need with iHeart not at 100%. Yeah, I mean, generally speaking, he's a player I think that's good on the move because he's a big guy that can put the ball on the floor for sure. I thought he also had nice moments in the half court where he like put the ball on the floor and just backed down Jalen Johnson and scored on a couple of those possessions. He's a nice player, but he's also a player that is like, he's a classic tweener. You know, there are reasons why you are going to feel uncomfortable playing him at the 5, and there are reasons why he's going to limit you offensively if you're playing him at the 4. But he was great tonight. He was awesome. Did everything they could have possibly asked of him to do. Pingus, what's going on? Deuce is undersized, can't create off the dribble, and can't score inside the 3-point line. Bogey and Alec Burks are streaky, old, and slow. iHeart has been bad statistically since the injury. This second unit is a liability. That's very harsh. Very harsh. I'm not sure that there's anything there that I could be like, that's just wrong. Deuce is undersized. He can't create off the dribble. He had, well, I'll push back on this. He can score inside the 3-point line. He's been getting into those mid-range spots a lot of late. That said, he tried to do it tonight, and he struggled. Those were not good looks when he was trying to pull up from the mid-range. And there were a couple where I was like, oh, my God, is that going to hit the front of the rim? And I don't think he made a single one tonight. He is, again, Ben. I'm going to steal Benji's line again. He is a wing. He's a small wing. That is what he is. That's what his game is. As far as Bogey and Burks are streaky, old, and slow, I don't know if I'd say Burks is slow, but I mean, like, whatever. This is semantics. And then iHeart, yeah, iHeart's been a rough go. When he doesn't have it, it's not great. So yeah, I mean, things are tough right now. Sam Garcia's dad, what's going on, Ray? This slide to the play-in is killing me. Listen, they haven't slid all the way yet. They have not slid all the way yet. Again, that Cleveland win was huge. Your massive game against Orlando, 2 massive games against Philly. Get 2 wins. I don't care who the 2 wins come against. Get 2 wins. Because here's the thing. Let's just say, for argument's sake, you lose to Orlando and you're able to get both of the games against Philly. You kind of bury Philly, right? You kind of bury Philadelphia because you get the tiebreaker, and obviously you go 2 more games up on them, and you're a half game up on them. You're a half game up on them right now. Still, obviously, Embiid's a ways off. We'll see if the Maxi injury is anything. I mean, it's a concussion, so we'll see. But, and all that being said, I just feel like they're going to split the Philly games, which is why I'm looking at the Orlando game like, can you get the Orlando game? Thanks, Ray. Appreciate it. Kevin Danishevsky, I can't get angry at anyone tonight. No issues on the macro that I could identify. Every concern I have answered with when everyone's healthy, it'll be fine. Just stay out of the play-in. Just stay out of the play-in. That's all anybody should be thinking right now. And it sucks that we're here, but like, whatever. Another one from Kevin coming right now. Thank you again, Kevin. That includes second unit rebounding. Remember, Hart will be with the second unit during the playoffs with a traditional center to offset Bogey. Yeah, no, there are no big picture conclusions to be. Well, maybe not no big picture conclusions that can be drawn right now with this team, with the roster that they have. I said it at the end of the playback, and I'll say it here. I think Bogey's defense has been. I knew it wasn't going to be good. I did not think it would be this bad. And maybe that's probably egg on my face. So bad job by me. And this is one of the things that Benji's been concerned about. Looks pretty freaking justifiable right now. To have another guy that they're putting out there that is a minus defensively, and boy, oh boy, has he been a minus. It's tough, and I wonder how many minutes they are going to be able to afford to play him in a playoff series. Now, it depends on what the playoff series is. It's going to be largely matchup dependent. Again, just to throw a series out there against a team like Orlando that struggles to score the ball. I think that's a much better series for Bogey, where you're going to be fine playing Bogey 16, 18, 20 minutes again when you're fully healthy. And if they're fully healthy, I don't think he's even going to play that many. In a series against, I'm trying to think of a different sort of matchup. Well, I mean, Indiana I don't even want to think about what a series against Indiana would look like, but like Miami, super smart team. They will, I think, if they're healthy fully, like that's a team, they'll hunt Bogey every minute he's on the court, to say nothing of a team like Boston. So yeah, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. Jason, what's going on, Jason? Has Sims surpassed Achiuwa as the third center? That's a great question. I love where Jason's mind is always at. I think so. I think given what they need, again, we're projecting full health, right? We're projecting full health, or at least you like enough guys that you're not playing the lineups you're playing now. I think in terms of what you need from the center position, I think so. Although I will just note that, and it didn't end up mattering because by the time he checked into the game, like Atlanta had scored another time or two. But like once they got down by, I think it was like 10 or 12 or whatever it was with about 3 minutes to go, who got off the bench? It was Achiuwa. Why did he get off the bench? Because Tibbs was like, well, the only chance we're going to have to win at this point is to get lucky on defense and hope and score every time we have the ball on offense. And Achiuwa got off the bench to replace Hartenstein, which he eventually did. So I guess it's a little bit situation dependent. That said, yeah, I think yes. I think the answer to your question is yes. Thanks, Jason. We got another from Tingus Pingus coming up. Other than shooting, what else does am I reading this right? Donte DiVincenzo add to this team? He's undersized on defense and bad turnovers. This plus the Detroit game. Sims and Ihart rebounded horribly. I almost feel like I'm reading this wrong. What does Donte DiVincenzo add to this team other than shooting? Why don't we ask the same thing about Steph Curry? Other than Steph Curry, what does Steph Curry add to a basketball team? Like, that's obviously the absurdist endpoint of the conclusion. But in the NBA hierarchy, in terms of skills that matter, there is, I mean, yes, you have your elite offensive shot creators that will always be the most important players in the game. And there are, whatever there are, 10 or 15 or 20 of those guys in the league at any point in time. After that, there is elite defense bending shooting, and then there's a Grand Canyon sized gap, and then there's all the other skills that you can consider. And what DiVincenzo's brought on shooting alone means that you don't need to ask any other questions. That you stop the sentence at other than shooting. Now, if you continue your sentence, you have managed to make yourself look ridiculous a second time because he adds a whole lot more to this team. He is a good defender on this team. Is he a little undersized at the 2 guard? Maybe. Boy, does he make up for it in a lot of ways. And I don't know. Watch one of their games. Who did I say was the worst comment of the year a few months ago? This might blow that one out of the water. What does Devo add? What?
It's a
what
new
am I
year.
missing?
It's a new year. It's a new year.
So this is the worst comment of the year. Great. Congratulations, Dingus Pingus.
Right, but
sir.
Other than all that, what does he add?
Other than all that, what does he add?
Yeah. Answer the question.
Yeah, as far as being part of the foundational fabric and identity of this team, nothing really. Not much.
So you agree with him?
I agree. Very little. He adds very little.
Okay. Tingus, I'm with John on this one. Like you're usually better than this.
I thought the draft pick comment was going to be the worst comment of the night.
We are feeling it tonight. Someone said we have our pick at least.
This was a hold my beer moment. This comment to the guy who brought up the draft.
Everybody, there are some good movies out there. There's a Patriots documentary on Apple Plus. Like, it makes fun of Belichick, who I can't stand. Go watch that. Not saying instead of the Knicks, like, thank you for the contributions and drowning your sorrows here. But man, go watch a Pick Me Up. That Sydney Sweeney movie is now available to rent.
I'm looking forward to that. You know what? Can I shout out something here?
Yes.
We got a couple of super chats left. I know, no free advertising. The Marvel What If show. I'm 8 episodes in. Positively delightful.
There you go.
On Disney Plus.
30-minute episodes.
Yep.
You'll forget all of this roster that's not going to matter when we have everybody healthy in the future.
But seriously, some of these, go watch Milk Curdle before you watch another Knicks game. Jesus Christ.
No. Watch the Knicks game and comment, and then detox from the Knicks game that you're upset about. With the
curdled milk.
Yeah. You might catch pinworms that way.
I don't know how you. Well, no, you get pinworms from other people. You don't get it from food.
Really? Oh, but how did? I don't want to know.
That's what I've been told, at least. Jessica, what's going on, Jess? I respectfully disagree with Benji's blasé attitude towards acquiring Shake. John, I honestly thought you give Shake the Burks minutes, or think you give Shake the Burks minutes. It's a closer game, down 80% of the starters. I was happy it was close. Let's go Knicks. I thought on the playback, which I know you were there for, Jess, I thought DJ had some very cogent thoughts about what Shake Milton is, which is that he's a bucket. You know, he's a traditional, I'm coming off the bench and I'm gonna fill it up. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm certainly not saying you're crazy. Because again, what did I say? I think I might have said it last game. Like, you want to get to at least a 10-game sample size with Burks. I think we're at a 10-game sample size, right? Whatever it is, it's been a good amount. If you put Shake in for Burks now, that essentially means you're, I think, done with the Burks experiment for this year. And I mean, really forever, because he's an impending unrestricted free agent. Maybe, I mean, look, not the first time I've accused myself of being a little tipsy in here. I can't believe I'm still not ready to quit him. I'm still not ready to quit this guy. And that is probably ridiculous, but I think he still has more to offer. Not saying Shake might not. Maybe he does. I'm not ready to pull the cord yet, Jess. I'm sorry. I'm not ready to pull the plug. Not yet. Doesn't deserve more than 11 minutes a game. I'm not ready to pull the plug yet. Thanks, Jess. Jesse with another one. Hoping the KFS MSG losing streak ends Sunday. See you there. Yeah, man. It's been a long time since I've been to a Knicks game that had the sort of consequence that this Sunday, win or lose on Friday night, the sort of consequence that this Sunday is going to feel like it has. That's going to feel like a massive game. I'm trying to think of the last Knicks game that I've been to that had that sort of consequential feeling. Actually, I know the game. I was at game 2 of the Pacers series in 2013. I was at that game, and they won. It was a playoff game, obviously. Oh no, sorry, I was at game 5 of the Hawks series. What am I talking about? I'm such an idiot. I was at game 5 of the Hawks series. That was big, but they were down 3-1. So, and I at that point you kind of knew the writing was on the wall. I don't know. I think this Sunday game is gonna be massive, absolutely massive. Thanks, Jesse. And we'll have a good time, regardless. Bernard, can you include a mock draft for us in the newsletter tomorrow morning? Pretty please. Also, your top 5 Tibbs replacements. Sarcasm. Yeah, tomorrow's newsletter is going to be a whole mock draft. It's just going to be me analyzing draft picks. I don't think I can name 5 players for you that are in this draft. How about that? Have not gotten to that point yet. And we got another one from Bernard. Thank you, Bernard. Always good comments from you. We do have the Dallas pick, at least, unless they tank again. Just get healthy and win the games in front of you. The Magic play the Pacers on Sunday. The Heat have games versus the Sixers. Just win and get healthy. Yeah. No, like none of these teams are slated to like run roughshod over the league down the stretch. Like I don't anticipate any of these other teams in the East going like 15-5 or anything like that. Like, but I think it's gonna be tight. I think it's gonna be tight. Oh, sorry, this isn't Bernard. This is from Bradley Rothman. Sorry, I in the chat there was some confusion. So Bradley Rothman, yes.
Thank you, Bradley. Yes, there's a lot of. I screwed up. Okay, I said there was another one from Bernard, so that is my bad. I read the name wrong. Obviously, you should fire me, and you should do a newsletter tomorrow on the top 5 Tibbs replacements and GMAC replacements. Okay.
I love you, JMSA. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And thank you, Bradley.
Thank you, Bradley.
And yeah, well, we're looking for silver linings tonight, right? Because that seems to be the mood everybody's in. So Dallas lost. They are currently now in 8th. And not only are they in 8th, they're a half game in front of the Lakers, and they're a game in front of Golden State. Holy shit. But here's the thing. Dallas cannot take their way to the I don't think at least they could take their way to the 11th spot in the West because there's just too far to fall. That's encouraging. I like it. Dallas lost 3 in a row. You know what? I'll take it. Fuck it. Thank you, Bradley. Not Bernard. Is that it? Oh no, here we go. Oh yeah, that is it. Oh no, the other Alex. I still think it's 75% plus Johnny Bryant succeeds Tibbs. I don't know what the 75% is referring to. 75%. What did I miss? 75% of what?
No. What he's saying is like I still think it's 70. It's above 75% chance that Johnny Bryant is the one that succeeds Tibbs. That's a fascinating conversation. What I will say is Johnny Bryant being a CAA client helps. I thought it's notable that the quickly farewell letter was very glowing about Johnny Bryant as like the personnel. Like he was the coach that is good with players. Julius Randle has talked about what Johnny Bryant has meant to him. I don't know what Johnny Bryant is as a coach, though. And so if the Knicks are going to have championship expectations, I wonder if they go to another CAA client named Mike Budenholzer. I also don't think we're at that point yet,
I mean, look. if I don't know why we're ending on this note. If they don't make it out of the first round, almost regardless of how it happens, I think there's a 50-50 chance Tibbs isn't back. I don't know. Maybe I'm overstating it.
Context is going to matter. They lose in the first round because Embiid came back and OG and Randall didn't. I think Tibbs has done enough this year to be like, look what you made me play with. You know?
There's levels to it, of course, but like, yeah, I don't know. This team wants to advance. We got another one from Jess. I respect your dedication. Why? Thank you, Jessica. I respect your dedication. I could always be wrong. Master Shake has had a rough season recently. He was awesome in Philly. Great D, tough shot maker. Yeah, it's pure. You're not. I am the one who is in the minority opinion here, and it is not based on. Certainly not based on data. It's based on a belief that may have no basis in fact that Alec Burks has a little bit left somewhere somehow. I don't know. But we'll see. We'll see. All right, that's it. Thanks everybody. Tough loss. Appreciate the effort, but a tough loss. I know every loss is tough right now. But all is not lost. And we appreciate you coming and checking us out for another post game. We got all good stuff coming up the rest of the week. X's and O's from DJ and Benji. Tomorrow we got Casual Friday podcast dropping on Friday, obviously. I'm sure there'll be a Magic pregame pod. Certainly Magic postgame pod featuring me. And then, all leading up to our KFS outing on Sunday. Let's hope we go into that one on a win, but one step at a time. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. Give it a thumbs up. And if you're listening to the podcast, 5-star ratings help us a lot. Please do that, as well as positive reviews. All right, we're out. Talk to you later. Peace.
One more super chat came in.
Ja, so focused. Am I the last one? Yes, you're the last one, Ja. I'd love Magic Heat as a 4-5 and Knicks Cavs 3-6. I don't see Burks in the playoff rotation. There are worse fates than what you say, and at this rate, I would bet no on Burks in the playoff rotation. That's it. Peace.